about them.
Okay.
It's not so much the spirits that are a problem, it's the fact that now you've got a bunch of taggers along, in addition to glowing brightly on the astral anyway.
Yeah.
You are distinctly not subtle at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of Turkish in a nutshell there, isn't it?
Yeah. So, with all of that out of the way, the three of you happen to be at the Stuffer Shack by the Seattle Center Space Needle at 3 p.m. Turkish and Devon managed to get there with just a few minutes to spare. Seattle traffic is quite terrible. And Shakespeare has been sitting there for about half an hour already. As Turkish and Devon and Shakespeare sort of all get in. Devon and Shakespeare recognize Turkish on sight. And, well, Turkish, you recognize the other two just by the fact that, you know, there's somebody looking at you with that kind of practiced eye that you use to look at other runners.
Yep. And he has run with Shakespeare before, I believe.
Great then, so you're working
Not on Turkish, but on other characters.
Oh, that's true, actually, that was squiggy. Never mind.
Yeah. Seeing Shakespeare sitting with 3 African people, it's quite evident that this is where the meet's happening. The Stuffer Shack's loud and crowded, and you have to push through a couple of people to get to the seat down the back. As you sort of all slide into booths, the person who you assume is the Johnson says, right, I'm Mr. Johnson, please order yourself some food, some drinks, and let's do some business.
Turkish doesn't order anything, but he does sit down.
Davian will just have water.
Alright.
Turkish will real quick turn on his astral perception. He won't actually put on the shades, he'll just sort of activate the focus and sense the 3 people here.
Alright, please roll it out.
Right, I'll just go from left to right.
Yep. On the left is the slimmer woman. She's sitting between the wall and the broad African man. Right, where's my cheat sheet books? Right, the woman is awakened. She has... what's your magic, Turkish?
6.
Oh, you
6.
get her exact essence in magic. Right. She is magic 5. She has some bioware implants in her head. She has no melodies upon her. And she has a couple of astral signatures on her. Detection spells, actually.
Right.
These detection spells are of force 4.
Okay. And no foci on her?
Yes, she does actually have foci on her. There is a key foci and a sustaining foci.
Okay. So seeing the headwear, Turkish is immediately kind of suspicious of pheromones, so he'll make sure that the olfactory sensor in his forearm guards is working.
No, this is right up in her brain. Tailored pheromones wouldn't actually be in their head.
Okay.
Yeah. The broad African man in the middle, he has about 5 essence. He has some small cyberware implants, one in the back of his neck, one in his guts, and he has cyber eyes. The orc on the right has very many cyber implants and a force lower than, and a essence lower than your own. He is also mundane. The cyber implants spread throughout his body, covering almost his entire skeletal structure, as well as most of his muscular structure.
Okay. Also, by a very stupid reading of the table, by raw, I know the fact that, like, by the fact that I have sensed him, the guy in the middle is a technomancer, because on 5 hits you get the fact that the subject is a technomancer.
Yeah,
Which is
that's
fun.
silly. Let's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I'll close my third eye again.
All right. Now that Mr. Johnson starts talking. So, Blood Ice. Evidently, after the collapse of the De Beers cartel and the return of market prices to boring carbon-based gems, extraction of different gemstones, specifically aluminium compounds, has become big business. As such, I have lost a pouch of rubies. Each ruby would be approximately the size of your thumbnail. They are cut, ready for mounting. You can identify my rubies with the aid of a microscope and the identification numbers laser engraved into one of the edge facets. My associate here has a list of the identification numbers we need recovered. The woman puts a data chip down on the table but doesn't take her finger off it. There are 25 such rubies. I was planning to use them for a business dealing later today. However, I've managed to gain a small modicum of time, and as such, I've pushed the business meeting back to 9 AM on Wednesday. I am offering a 20% cut of these rubies on return. You return 25 rubies to me, and I give you 5.
So that would be a 2-day time limit to gather all 25.
Slightly under, approximately 42 hours. I expect all the rubies will be in the same location.
Do you have any sort of inkling to who stole them or where the location is?
I had a courier who was attacked in the middle of downtown, a couple of streets away from here. I suspect that the nature of the attack lends itself to a description of who took them. There are a number of magically invested corporations in this area, and I suspect one of them would have taken it.
Those corps being AAAs then?
Possibly, although I do not expect a AAA would want to deal with such items. I suspect a smaller corporation wishing for a easy capital income.
You say an attack took place in the middle of downtown. Was there a night errant response?
There was a night errant response, but unfortunately it was a attack by professional mercenaries, and they were able to avoid the slow and clumsy law response quite easily. Back in the Zulu kingdom, it would not have been so easy. I wield considerable influence with the local military, but unfortunately, here, I am just a businessman.
So the gist of the job is to, in 42 hours, track down the stealer or the thief of these gems and return them to you, yes?
The 42 hours is merely until I have delayed the meeting. If you provide me a location of the gems and evidence that its recovery will be on a longer time frame, I can possibly make additional arrangements with my business partners.
does simplify things somewhat. Do you have what would be the value of 20% of these gems?
Well, this is a the market value of these gems is highly variable, depending on who you talk to and whether they understand the gems themselves. I wouldn't want to put a price on them. It is too variable.
Do you have any rivals? Anyone that would want to bring harm to you in this matter?
Rivals? I have many rivals. Quite a number of people back on the continent have decided that my country is in need of a change of leadership. In addition, some of the business dealings I am doing have generated ill will amongst people of a delicate disposition. However, I suspect that it is the nature of the payment of my business dealing that has generated this incident. It is almost assuredly a optimistic corporation or group who have heard of the nature of this payment and wish to gain capital.
Can I figure out if he actually doesn't know the value of the gems or if he's just dodging the question?
No, it's very simply that it's not that the value of these gems is unknown, it's that the value of these gems could vary by an order of magnitude or two, depending on how you try and sell them.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you just try and sell them as just rubies versus the rubies that they are, you could get up to like 100 times different value.
Okay.
Also, it depends on who you sell them to and other stuff like that.
Okay. The Turkish will send like a DNI request to the other two members of the team.
Shakespeare accepts.
So will Davian.
Do any of you have a problem with this deal as it stands on the table?
No
Like the-
escrow.
That is true. I'd say then that we try to argue for either higher pay or some sort of assurance of payment. Does this seem agreeable to you? Do any of you have any issues with the job itself?
Not a lot of details, but we can try and figure something out. I would like to know where. I'll say this out loud. I would like to know where the attack took place.
Oh yes, the attack took place on First Avenue. The details and some preliminary investigation notes are on the data chip that my associate has put on the table. The data chip is still under her finger.
Yeah.
Over DNA, I'll say not much to go on, but I've worked with worse.
All right. In that case, I say we try to push the envelope on the pay a little, and then other than that, I'm fine with this job.
Works for me, Chandra.
All right. And Turkish will say out loud, given the highly variable nature of both the risk factor and the rewards for this job, either an assurance of pay upfront or a higher cut upon delivery would be help assuage some of the reservations we have about this job.
The Johnson staples his fingers and looks at you and says, Well, if that is to how it is be, I suppose we can always deal in currency. The woman to his right, on the far left, closest to the wall, starts talking at this point. Well, This is